Vamos a ir con la Torah, que es lo que está en nuestra mano.
In English, please. In English.
So we're starting in Bet. As you've noticed, I'm going over everything that we've learned so far. We've done about half. And we're looking at the Mefarshim. I'm reading, quoting in English also, and then explaining in depth. So I'll start with Bet again. That we explained yesterday what the pshat is, that we should all have money to be able to fulfill ourselves. Fulfillment is to teach what you came down to teach in this world, what Hashem taught you. But there's one thing that even if you learn and you're capable of teaching whatever it is that Hashem gave you as a gift to offer humanity, but if you get upset, so you can lose it. You lose the mammon, and then it becomes a lot more difficult to teach Torah. And this is a very ugly type of, very despised in the eyes of Hashem. And on top of that, it's very difficult to save yourself from it. And you'll see that even Rabbi Nachman says something that he never actually does, and that is that in the middle of the Torah, he tells you Hashem Yatzilenu. He prays actually, and we'll see why. ובפרט בשביל תאוות ממון, כדי שלא תפסיד לא את הממון. So here we have two things. On the one hand, he's saying that this midah is very, very inappropriate for a Jew because of the kas, so the kas, and also too is the kas is the bad midah, but he also says that the bad midah is that you should have ta'avat mamon. And we'll see what one thing has to do with the other, if at all. כדי שלא תפסיד לו את הממון, so that you don't lose your money. So he seems to be saying here that if you don't hold your temper, if you're not patient, and you get angry, but also if you like the money in itself, as an end in itself, as opposed to a means to an end, meaning so that you can get closer to Hashem by teaching Torah, so that can also bring you to lose your money. That's a חידוש. האם כל זה המידה הרעה הזאת מתגברת עליו בילדותו ובקטנותו? So this is interesting. Here we're going to be מעיין into this. He's telling you, why is it that it's difficult for a person to abstain from anger? So he gives you two reasons. He tells you, this midah, mitgaberet alav, is something that grows with you. Unfortunately, my wife told me that there's something called the terrible two, Ahuba? The terrible two. The psychiatrists talk about that children, when they're 2 years old, they learn how to throw a tantrum when they don't get what they want. Terrible two. So this is something that a kid gets used to. He grows up with that. As he's growing, the midah goes with him. So as you know, as a klal in the Torah, shana v'shilesh, if he does it once, twice, 3 times, hergel na'aseh teva, it becomes second nature. Very difficult for a person once he gets used to something, especially if you take a tree and it grows crooked, it's very difficult to straighten it. I've got trees here, and I can tell you, it's almost impossible. But when it's young, if you put a stick and you tie it up to the stick, it will grow up straight. ועל ידי זה מפסדת ממנו הממון שהיה ראוי שיהיה לו. And here comes a tremendous חידוש, and that is that even if it's got your name on it, you can lose that money. Now I'm going to explain here why it's difficult what does Rabbi Nachman telling us when it says that he grows up with you? What does he mean? So I'm going to look here at the Mefarshim, see what he says. So we explain that Hergel Na'aseh Teva means once you grow up with something every day after the age of 2, and you have an element of success, so you know that anytime you lose your temper, people, rather than hear you crying and shouting, they're going to give you what you want. However, that might work with your parents if they're trying to get some sleep. So they'll give you what you want, so you let them sleep. But it's not going to work with Hashem, because Hashem doesn't need to sleep. As he says, in Elo Yanum Velo Ishan, Hashem doesn't sleep. He's always looking after Am Israel. So if you lose your temper, he's not going to give you anything. Now, even if a person is older, he's not a kid anymore. Now this is the interesting part. A person has good days and bad days. In Hebrew, in Kabbalah, in the Torah, when a person has what they call a high, means everything goes your way, it's called mohin de gadlut, means your moach, your reform, you know. That's right. When it's the opposite, when you feel switched, what they call switched, you know the expression, I guess, switched. That means mohin de katnut. You have a small, means you're not inspired. A small brain, they call it. But that's what it means. So when a person is not feeling good, it's very difficult not to get upset. If you notice, Lo alenu, when a person is ill, he can lose his temper very, very quickly. Person has pain, any type of pain. Or a person has an isayon because he's ill. So it's very easy for that person to lose the temper. So you can't really hold it against them, but still. The reason for that is because, thank you. The reason for that is,
Amen.
The reason for that is simply put, is because when a person is ill, there's dinim against him.
Sorry, say it again?
Dinim.
Ah.
He's being punished somewhat, or it's a type of kapara or whatever. So whenever a person is already in a hole, it's a lot more difficult to get yourself out of the hole. The whole idea is what they call preventive. In medicine, preventive medicine is much better than getting sick. And then in the old days, I remember, I was always very much for preventive medicine. And I used to go to the doctor because I had this thing, you know, that I needed to go to the doctor, make sure that I'm okay. I used to make fun of me. I'm talking about 40, 50 years ago. The doctor used to tell me, is there anything wrong with you? I told him, I don't think so. I don't know, that's why I'm here. He says, but okay, is anything broken? If I take an X-ray, I'm gonna see something broken. I told him, I don't think so. So then, when it breaks, we'll deal with it. So I said, no, I wanna make sure that you give me exercises or so that it doesn't get any worse. Because I knew I had a problem with my ankle, because I broke it when I was a kid and it was a bit weaker. So but to most people, now it's a lot more fashionable, but in the old days, this didn't exist. But in Torah terms, it's a very real phenomenon. That's if a person has to do everything he can so as not to fall, because once you fall, it's a lot more difficult to lift a person up. That's why it says, when we're talking about the how you should help, if you see even your enemy, all the more so, well, actually it's the opposite. The chidush is even an enemy you have to help. And there's an animal and the animal is laden, that you should help him to unload, and you should also help him to load, and so on and so forth. And And obviously that's a mitzvah that the Gemara says there. Why is it such a great mitzvah? Is because once the animal falls, it's very difficult to get it to get up again. It's a lot easier to help a person before he's ruined. If you give a person tzedakah when he's down and out, it's a mitzvah, but it's not the best type of mitzvah. The best type of mitzvah is you should look around you, and if you see somebody that's just about to fall, before he actually falls, help him to make a parnasah. That's the real mitzvah. So it says here, once a person is not feeling good or is ill, so it's very easy for that person to get upset. And it's almost impossible once a person has an isayon not to get upset because he has mohin de katnut. He doesn't have that. He doesn't know. It's very difficult for him to feel pleasure in the fact that Hashem is giving him a difficulty, an isayon, and to say that it's for his own good. It's very difficult. So how do you get out of it once you're in the hole? So I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to read something else from a different Torah to give an advice from the Likutey Moharan. Kas ve'achzariyut hu mechisaron hadat means when a person is cruel, or also too when a person gets upset, is because a person doesn't really know, he doesn't have that. They say that when Hashem wants to give a person an isayon, why is it so difficult not to get upset? Why is it difficult to be happy and to accept the nisayon? Is because unfortunately Hashem also takes away your da'at. Da'at means that you don't know why you're here. You're here to become a better person. And everything that Hashem does is not, everything is bemidah. It's not an accident. It's bemidah. It's for sure for you and it's for sure for your own good. But once you have the nisayon, it's very difficult for a person to be happy. The person has to try and do everything that he can, if possible, not to fall. And also too, we should do everything that is within our power, that our friends also don't fall. Before they fall, we should help them, not after they fall, because then it's very difficult to get a person up. So now I'm going to read you, actually, I'm going to tell you something interesting that I heard, a chidush from Rabbi HaKohen. He's a big tzaddik. He says in the parasha of the week, if you look, Parashat Vayigash, Perek Mem He, Pasuk Aleph. I'm going to read you the Pasuk and explain. There, by the brothers, it comes to a point where Yosef is being very cruel to his brothers. He wants them to make tshuva, to help them. So at one point when he sees that Binyamin, he calls all his children, the 10 children that he has, with something that has to do with an episode in the life of Yosef. So he's so touched that he can't hold himself from crying. So it says like this, Velo yachol Yosef leitapek, and Yosef cannot hold himself back. Lechol hanitzavim alav, to all the people that are in the room, and he asked, Vayikra hotziu kol ish me'alai, get all the Egyptians out of here. Velo amadi shito beitvada Yosef elechav, and there was nobody there when Yosef tells them the famous statement, Ani Yosef, Ahod avi hayam Yosef, is my father still alive? So the word vayitapak, I don't know if you know this, but vaccination in Hebrew is hisun. Hisun.
Reinforcing.
The targum of the word leitapek, itapek means to hold back. In our case, not to get angry. Is leithasen. So you see that doing the right thing by holding back and not letting your Yetzer Hara get the best of you, is the best hisun there is. There is no better hisun than that. Is when a person is strong and he says, I am not going to do it because Hashem forbids it. There's no better protection for the health of a person, for the immune system, than that. You have it from the Torah. Okay, I'm going to carry on now, and I'm going to read you. We're going to go into the Likutey Moharan Aleph to Torah Kuf Tet Zayin, 116. We're going to read that. Kuf Tet Zayin, yeah, 116.
116.
Tell me when you have it.
Yep.
I'm gonna get it.
But I'm now going to bring you, what does a person do? I mean, if a person grows up until he becomes second nature with a midah of kas, well, you know that here you're going to have to do a lot of praying because it's very difficult to break your nature. Rabbi Nachman also mentions the fact that when a person is bemohin de katnut, means you already have a problem, it's very difficult for a person to be happy and not to lose your composure and get angry. It's very, very, very easy for a person. You just try it. Anybody that you know has a problem or is sick, and just tell them something you don't like, and it'll just fly off the handle in 2 minutes. He's always angry. A person, why? Because he has dinim on him. He's being tested. Very difficult. So it's like what you call catch-22 situation. How does a person get out of that? Very difficult. How? No matter what you tell him, he tells you, I want to, but I can't. How can I be happy if I have this problem? I can't. To me, my life is a misery. Very difficult. So how do you get out of it? That's the question. What does Rabbi Nachman have to tell us? How do we get out of it? Apart from praying to Hashem and trying to break your bad midot. But once you have a problem, how do you get out of it? You're poor. What do? You already have a problem. It's not that you have money and you don't want to lose it. It's very good. If you have money and you don't want to lose it, it's okay this. But if you're poor already, or you had and you lost it all, what do? You understand?
Yeah.
Right. That's one
How
of
can
the.
you give tzedakah if you're poor?
That's a very good question.
There is always
And
someone poorer than you.
It's not the answer, really. It's true what you're saying. But I'm going to explain to you what the problem is. How do you get out of it? Why is it, you see it in yourself, and if you have friends and you're trying to help them, or your children or whatever, you try to help them, and they're just not listening to you. And the question is why? Is it really because they don't want to listen to you? Or is it really that even if they wanted to, they couldn't listen to you because they have such a problem? That's what we're going to look into now. In other words, is there a solution, Bichlal? Can you help a person? So I'm going to read you this Torah, Kuf Tet Zayin. I'll start now. There's a pasuk in the Torah from which the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, Kuf Nun Aleph, Amud Bet. The Gemara says like this: Kol ha-merachem al ha-beriot, merachamim alav min ha-shamayim. Whoever takes pity on a person, when the person really feels the other person's pain, in Shamayim, they change everything. All the doors were closed. All of a sudden, you're merachem on another human being, Hashem opens all the doors. All the doors are open now. How do I know that? The Gemara says, he brings a pasuk in Devarim. Perek Yud Gimel, pasuk Yud Het. The pasuk says, Venatan lecha rahamim verihamecha. What does it mean, Venatan lecha rahamim verihamecha? If he wants to tell you that he's going to give you rahamim, all he has to say is one of the two, verihamecha or Venatan lecha rahamim. Why Venatan lecha rahamim verihamecha? Why? So the Gemara says from here, it's telling you exactly that. When does Hashem give you rahamim? When you're merahem on somebody else. That's why it repeats it twice.
Midah keneged midah.
That's not that. Midah keneged midah is for sure. It's not what I'm explaining. What I'm explaining is why it's written twice in the pasuk.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to go on in the Torah now. Hanoten staka nitzol me'averot. If you find yourself that you're always doing averot, our situation here, you're always getting upset. No matter what you try, comes a kid, comes your wife, comes your neighbor, comes the guy in shul, or whatever it is, and you lose, you fly off the handle. And you want to stop, what do? So he says, what you should do is give staka. Staka is not just with money. It's also helping others.
Your time, you.
Whatever you can do. Money also, obviously. In fact, the mizah staka is called ha-mitzvah, the mitzvah. And we'll see why now. So, כי כל המרחם למרחם עליו מן השם, וכל מי שאין בו דעה, אסור לרחם עליו. Now we have a problem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to help you. This is the question that we ask. When someone has a problem, in our case, or whatever it is, he does drugs, or he watches what he shouldn't watch, and he doesn't want to learn Torah, and doesn't want to get serious, and so on and so forth. Is it something that it's because he's not listening to you? Or is there a bigger problem than that? Is that the door is closed for him? He can't do anything about it. So we see from here that it's the door that's closed. It's not that he doesn't want, it's that they don't allow him. So it says why? It says because there's a klal in the Torah, kol mi she'en bo de'ah. If a person doesn't have that, you should not be merahem on him. In other words, if you see somebody that is bad, and merahem on him, we do that a lot. Say for a person has a lot of money, and he does something very wrong. He hurts a Talmid Chacham. The person will say one of two things. You shouldn't have that. He's done the wrong thing. On top of that, the other guy is a Talmid Chacham. He's going to say, you know what? This guy is rich. And, it's so a bit blame. Because you were a bit confrontational. You shouldn't have said what he says in the Torah. Whatever it is. What happens with that? Why is that asur? The Gemara says, because if a person is merahem on an achzar, on a cruel person, he will be mitachzer, he will be cruel with a good person. That's how it goes. That's the thumb rule in life. Has to help you. So in fact, forcing him to give you that so that he can pay you back. Giving tzedakah is rubbing rahamim on another human being. So in fact, it goes like this. Supposing that Hashem, you've paid a lot, either for yourself, somebody you love, for your kids, and nothing budges. One day Hashem says, you know what? He's really trying hard. He doesn't have a way out because he doesn't have that, because he's bedin. He's already got an nisayon. And I know a person with an nisayon is never going to understand that what I'm trying to do for him is good. And every time he's going to get upset and he's going to lose his temper and never going to get anywhere, this guy. So you know what he does? He sends you a person in a pitiful situation. And that guy comes to you and he tells you his situation. Now, Hashem says, if this guy takes this opportunity that I'm giving him a hand, a helping hand, and he helps this person, he's merahem on this person, so that gives me an excuse for me to give him that, meaning I'm going to take him out of his mohin de katnut so that I can help him. You understood?
Yes.
But then, so how do you match then the pasuk that says, "Kol mi she'en bo da'at asur lerachem alav"?
If a person doesn't have that, they cannot be merahem on you. Impossible. So Hashem gives you an option. You might take it or you might not take it. It doesn't help you. He presents you with an opportunity. God knows how many times we've blown it. People have knocked on our door or spoken to us, hinted, and we've just ignored them. No, not now, I'm praying. Or not now, I'm going to put my tefillin, my rabbenotam. Or no, not now, I've got to learn. God only knows how many times we've blown it. Or we listened to the person, or we gave him the wrong thing. He came for one thing, we gave him another. In other words, if you want Hashem to help you when you're down and out, you've got to show an element of pity. Hashem will choose a person that is in dire straits. And he's also choose a person that you can easily identify with to make it easy for you. But the question is, are you going to take the time to listen to that person? Are you going to do something to help that person? Are you going to look, analyze, and see what it is exactly is the best you can do for that person? If you do that and you're merahem on that person, now Hashem has to pay you back. He has to get you out of your nisayon. He has to give you the opportunity to become rich. And how does he take you out of that? So Hashem gives you that. He gives you a present now. What's the present? The present is that you one more and you say, you know what, it's not so bad, this nisayon that I have. What's the problem? Okay, so there's always somebody worse off than me, like you guys said. What's the problem? And somebody comes and steps on your foot, you don't get upset. Your wife tells you something, you don't get upset. Your kid starts bothering you, you don't get upset. The neighbor takes your place, or some guy from Eretz came to collect money, sits in your place, you keep quiet. Hashem says, okay, that's it. Here goes the money. And he gets you out. As simple as that. Hashem will give you the da'at. So when you see a person that is not listening to you, the answer is because Hashem doesn't open the door for that person, because he doesn't have that. It's not because he doesn't want. It's because they will not listen to that person. Because it's asur to be merahem on a person that doesn't have that. So Hashem will send you a mitzvah to give you the zechut, so that Hashem can give you the da'at and then get you out of the mess. But a person has to be what they call on the alert. Could be your wife also. Could be your wife. It could be anybody that you need to help, and maybe you're not helping. It could be anything. But it has to be an act of chesed. I'm going to finish the Torah. And this person will not get upset or do any other avera, because now he's got the da'at. He says everything's for my own good. Another person, the nature of a person is not to go against Hashem. even animals instinctively know not to go against the boss. All the more so, a human being has it in his nature not to go against his creator, the boss, the big boss. אבל כשיש לו דעה, but a person has דעת, ניצול מעבירות, אמן כן יהי רצון. Let that be the will of Hashem. Where do we learn that from? So I'm going to tell you where we learn that from. It's a Masech, it's a Gemara, Masechet Sotah. Sotah is a woman, unfortunately, that behaves in a very suspicious way, and she does what is called kinui and stira. Means the husband tells her, this means kinui and stira. Like you hanging around with a neighbor like that, you know. And she goes private with him, doesn't listen to the husband, in a room, closes the door, and there's enough time. We don't know what happened there, but there's enough time for something to have happened. 2 or 3 minutes, whatever it takes. So now he cannot have relations with his wife. He has to take it down to the Bet HaMikdash, and they do a bdika. This bdika, if they did something, the neighbor and this woman, they both die. Double death. And if they don't, so she gets a tremendous bracha. All kinds of brachot, the Gemara says. Now, the Gemara says, Daber el Bnei Israel. This is what the Gemara says. Daber el Bnei Israel. Marta alehem ish ish ki tiste ishto. Tiste ishto means, sota means she goes off the derech. Means she behaves in a way that is not befitting of a married woman, to talk to the neighbor and go into the room after you've told her you don't want her, she should hang around with him. Uma'ala bo ma'al, and she went against the wishes of the husband. That the nature of a person not to do averot. A person does a avera when a ruach shtut goes into his head. Ruach shtut is folly. What is the folly? The folly is, I can do a avera. This is the folly. And I'm not going to change. I'm going to be the same. I'm going to be just as good. That's the ruach shtut. Of course, you're not going to be the same. You're going to be a lot worse off because your neshama is going to leave you. But that's the folly. Again, hamila tiste, it says there tiste. You can say, you can also read it ke tishte. And the Maharsha there explains like this. He could have said something completely different. He could have said ish ish, ki tate ishto. Why ki tiste ishto? What does it mean, ki tiste ishto? Tiste ishto means that she went off the derech. Why does it use this funny lashon, ki tiste? He should have said the simple lashon, ki tate ishto. So from here you see that since the tiste, the shin of tiste can also be read in a Sefer Torah, ki tiste ishto, that en adam over avera ela im ken nichnas bo ruach shtut. Just like this woman thought that she could do this, nobody's going to find out. I'm not going to change. Everything's going to be hunky-dory. And then she gets it over the head. She might, her and the guy might both lose their lives. So the Gemara learns from there that a person only does a avera when he has a ruach shtut. Now, there's also another Gemara. The Gemara says this. The Gemara says, there's a Gemara in Gitin Ayin Amud Aleph. The Gemara says, Im ro'eh adam shemezonotav metzumtzamim. If you don't have a lot of money, you're going to do the opposite of what makes sense to you. You would say, don't spend any money, or the more so, don't give away your money. But the Gemara says the opposite. The Gemara says, say mehem, the money that you have, do tzedakah, do chesed. Why? Why? That doesn't make any sense, does it? If you don't have money, you don't even have enough money for Shabbat, you'd be very happy if somebody invited you to spend Shabbat with them. Why on earth would you see a poor guy and give him some good money, a good amount of money, what you have. And the answer is one and the same. Because the reason why you're poor and the reason why you cannot get out of the poverty is not because there's a problem with you. In other words, you're not praying enough, or you're not listening, or you're not intelligent enough, or you're in the wrong place, or you don't have a career, you don't have a profession, or nobody wants to give you or your wife a job. All wrong. That is not the reason. The reason is because in Shamayim, there is an halacha, en merahamim ala ben adam im en lo da'at. A person that is not happy because of an issue, not that he hates, and he hates everybody. This guy did this to me and that guy did that to me. And he's always upset. Even if he's not, he pretends he's not upset, but deep down inside, he's upset with Hashem. He's upset with the people that did him harm. He doesn't understand that those people are like a loudspeaker. Does it make sense? If you hear something through a loudspeaker you don't like, that you should break the loudspeaker with a hammer? No, what sense does it make? It's the guy that's talking into the loudspeaker that's telling you that. So the person that came to do you harm, he's not doing you harm. He's doing what Hashem is telling him to do. He's just a loudspeaker, that's all. So you want Hashem to get you out of your poverty, and you are praying and praying your head off, but they can't listen to you because you don't have that. So what's your best bet? Your best bet is to force Hashem to give you that. You force him. How do you do it? You're merahem on another human being. You take a person and you say, that guy, I know exactly what he needs. I identify with that guy because I have the same problem. I'm going to take him and I'm going to say to him, what do you need? He says, no, you can't give me because you're in the same boat. No, just tell me how much you need. 500 pounds. Yeah, take 500 pounds. You've only got 1,000 pounds. Your wife is going to kill you. But once you do that, so Hashem gives you that. So when you pray, He will listen to you. You understood that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go on a little bit more in the Torah now. Back to the Torah, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to take another point in the Torah and I'm going to explain it, the parts that are a bit difficult to understand. So we're going to skip a little bit because you more or less got it. Now, if you go to the end of Bet, just before paragraph Gimel, I'm going to read it. Vehabal davar means the Sitra Ahara. You have it? Just before paragraph Gimel. A few lines
Same
before.
one, no?
כשרואה שיורד לאדם השתלשלות שפע של ממון, the יצר הרע, when he sees that there's some money coming in your direction, Hashem is sending you a shefa of money. So what does he do? He doesn't have any bigger pleasure. In fact, that's his job. His job is to ask you for your passport, to make sure that you have a passport with your picture. What is your passport with your picture? We said, he's going to give you a test and he's going to see whether you get upset or not. בחינת חומה, אזי הוא עושה לו מזה השתלשלות כעס. So he tries and upset you. He finds something that's really going to bother you so you lose your temper. And then you won't have this protection. This money is going to protect you like a wall, walls of your house. שמזמין לו דבר לכעוס, and he looks for something that's really going to upset you. ונתקלקל בחינת חומה, and he breaks your protection. The חומה that you have with your money, he breaks it. So that harm can come your way. כי הכעס שהממון הם בחינה אחת, as we said, the כעס and the ממון is one and the same thing. ועל כן, בקל מהפר השתלשלות שפע של ממון, so it's very easy for him to change the ממון into כעס, because they're both גבורות. Now, לכעס הוא הפך החומה, ועושה מזה חומה חמה, שמהפך הממון לכעס. Now this is a play on words. Homa is a bechina of Homa is money. Or money is a bechina of Homa. Either way. Money that is earned bekashrut through da'at. Da'at meaning that you accept Hashem's will. And Hashem, you know that this money comes from Hashem because you are happy in the life that Hashem has given you. You accept your life. You thank Hashem for what you have and for what you don't have. Any little bit of ishtadlut that you do, if you don't get upset with your situation, no matter how much Yetzer Hara attacks you or incites you, you will have a tremendous parnasah. Where does Rabbi Nachman get this from? This Homa and Hema. It's a play on words. Homa is money. Just like the walls of your house protect you, this money, not only will it be a wall, but it will also protect you. Means nobody will be able to do you any harm. And just like the walls of a house, your home protects you, this money will be a bracha for you. Not just having money, but the money will bring you bracha because it's kosher money, it's holy money. It's not because you worked for it. Even if a person works for something and is making money because he has a career and he's honest, but he gets upset, that is not a choma. He might have the money, but it won't be a protection for him. It won't be a bracha. There'll be many miksholim for this person, things that will make him stumble. It will not be a bracha. The only bracha is when a person makes money in this way, through this. So the Parparaot La Chokhmah is one of the mefarshim, and he says, I'm going to tell you where Rabbi Nachman got this from, this Homa Hema. It's a play on words. Homa is with a vav, Hema is without the vav. Just like a wall, when it's full, a whole wall, pirza, without a kick, protects you from everything. But when you take away something from the wall, take away the vav, it becomes anger. Then it does not protect you because
cracks.
This is not anymore a protection. It becomes money, becomes anger. Where does Rabbi Nachman get that from? So he says, I'm gonna show you where Rabbi Nachman got this from. So he goes and he says like this. There's a medrash, when Am Israel crossed the Yam Suf, the Torah in Shemot says, Vehamayim lahem homa miyeminam umisemolam. And the sea broke into 12 shvilim, and it was like a homa. Miminam umisemolam, on the right and on the left, and the 12 tribes passed through that. So the Chachamim explain that in the Torah, if you look in the Sefer Torah, the Kri is Homa, but the Ktiv is Hema, without the Vav. Why? Why is that? So if you look in the Likutey Moharan in Shemot, the Midrash says like this. I'm going to quote to you the Likutey Moharan.
What is the Likutey Moharan? Is a Midrash? Likutey Moharan is a Midrash?
Midrash in Shemot. Likutey Moharan. Ask the guys in the Kolel, they'll give it to you. Likutey Moharan, Shemot, alter reference. Resh Mem Zayin, Resh Lamed Het. Write it down. Resh Mem Zayin, Resh Lamed Het. Likutey Moharan. Hayu Malachi Asharet Mehim Lomar, they were very surprised, Malachi Asharet. And they told Hashem, Bnei Adam, Obdei Avodah Zarah, Mehalchim Bayabasha. You are going to get Am Israel to go through the Yabasha, and then afterwards, once they go through, the Egyptians are going to drown. Elu Obdei Avodah Zarah, Elu Obdei Avodah Zarah. That's favoritism. How can you do something like that? So, Uminei She'af Hayam Nitmale Aleim Hema. So the Midrash says, no. The Mayim obeyed the orders of Hashem because of Zechut Tavot. But they were full of anger. They wanted to drown the Jewish people. Why? Because they were Obedei Avodah Zarah. They also had kas. They wanted to drown them. But Hashem made a miracle and forced them to become a Choma. That's why you read Choma. It's written Chema. Ahora, שלמעלה הוא אומר, והמים להם חומה, וחמה כתיב. That's what the Midrash says. מכאן ראיה למשמעות הכפולה של המילה חמה, כמו שרבנו מלמד כאן. That's what the פרפראות לחוכמה. Imagine the Bekiut of Rabbi Nachman. The whole Torah like his hand.
So what
Found the Midrash somewhere in the Likutey Moharan.
Benoliel, they had Mochin de Katnut in Egypt. They couldn't.
They didn't even want to leave. So the Malachei Asharet says the klal. A person cannot take shochad. So why are you favoritism here? Why are you doing this, Hashem? It's not right. They are of the Avodah Zarah, the Jews, and so are they. Now you're going to let them pass through, and when they pass through, you're going to drown all the Egyptians. Why? They're both of the Avodah Zarah. So Hashem says, because of Zechut Avot, Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov. That's why. Has to be understood that. Another parasha, I'm not dealing with that. I just want to show the greatness of Rabbi Nachman. That he found the Midrash somewhere to tell you about money and cars. That it can be either Homa or Hema. If you have Da'at, it's Homa. If you don't have Da'at, it's Hema. Not having Da'at is Avodah Zarah. Having Da'at is Avodat Hashem. Where does he get it from? From Keriyam, Homa, Hema. The Kri is Homa, the Ktiv is Hema. You got it?
Mm.
Okay, we go on. Listen to the shiur and look up the references. If you have any problem, ask me, I'll try and... Okay, let's go on a little bit more here. Now, Rabbi Nachman says, Kemevuar bazohar. If you go a little bit more to Gimel, you see it? In Gimel?
Yeah.
Just before Gimel, the last line, the last word actually, the last two words. Kamevoar bazohar. You have it?
Yes.
Yes.
Paragraph Bet, just before Gimel, it says that Kas is a very bad midah, and it says, look up the Zohar. So in Gibraltar, you have a Matok Midvash there. If you want, you can look it up. Zohar is Chelek Bet, Kuf Pe Bet, Amud Bet, if you want to look it up. Okay, I'm going to read you the Zohar, and if you can look up the Arizal there. I don't know if you have the Arizal in Gibraltar, but I'm going to read it. The Zohar teaches you like this, that when a person gets upset, you know what he does? He takes his neshama, and it's as if he takes a pair of scissors and he cuts it into strips, destroys his neshama completely. Hanefesh hakedosha shelo, your neshama is taken away from you. Uvmekoma nitna lo nefesh temea min asitra ahara. From Gehinam, they bring down a black neshama and they give it to you. Swap it. Now look up the Arizal in Nitzotze Orot. If you, I don't think you have it in Gibraltar, but anyway, it's written there. What happens? The Arizal adds to this perush, to this what the Zohar says, he adds this to it. Very difficult, almost impossible for a person once he loses his temper to make tshuva. In other words, the damage is irreparable almost. You got upset. Now, how do you get black neshama out? Doesn't want to leave you. You're possessed. אפילו הזכויות שצבר בשעת שקיים מצוות נזקפות לזכות הנפש הטמאה. Listen to this good. Not only do you lose your neshama and you gain a black neshama from Gehinam, but the good deeds that you do give strength to this black neshama to possess you. In other words, you've learned, you've done asim tovim, you've done a lot of mitzvot. Now those mitzvot are yours. When a person loses his temper, the good that you do gives strength to the bad that possesses you. Pretty scary, isn't it? בכך מעצימות את שלטון הסטרה אחרה. And you make the kohot of Tumah stronger in this world. Because you're mosif, not only the bad, not only is it bad that a person is possessed by the bad, but you're giving them strength from your good. You're giving them fuel so that they have more strength to fight Hashem. That's why if a person doesn't have that, if he has kas, Hashem cannot answer him. Because whatever he gives him, he's only going to give it to the Sitra Ahara. Dangerous. It's a chesed that Hashem does, so you have to get punished afterwards for doing such a thing, for helping the enemy. So he said, Adam כזה יוכל לשוב בתשובה רק אם ישוב תחילה לעוון הכעס. A person has to break that vicious circle and decide that from now on, I am never going to get upset and never ever get upset again. ולמשול ברוחו, and to mamash, be strong, and no matter what, not lose your temper. As יוכל שוב באמת ולגאול נפשו. So then you can take your neshama that is imprisoned out of the jail and give back to Gehinam, that black neshama. In other words, you swap back to the neshama that you were born with. Unless you do that, unless Hashem sees that you're sincere about that and you're never going to lose your temper again, there's no tshuva. There's no tefillot that are going to get answered. So it says, Zohi mesima kasha meod. And the Arizal says, once a person has sinned with kas, all the more so if a person is in the habit of always complaining about his situation and doesn't look to follow what we just learned here, to do tzedakah and chesed with others, to get out and to break that vicious circle so that Hashem can answer your tefillot, it's almost impossible for a person to get out of that vicious circle. We'll stop there.
Oh, wow.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us happiness.
Amen. Amen.
So that we can understand that Baruch Hashem, we're learning how to get out of the mess that we're in. And we can help others also by learning Rabbi Nachman, which is, Rabbi Nachman basically, what he does is he brings the whole Torah, Chitzoniyut, Pnimiyut, the whole thing in a nutshell. He brings you everything, from the Zohar to the Midrashim, to the Chumash, to the Rashi, to the Gemarot, everything.
No.
Basically, after you finish the Likutey Moharan, if you learn it be'iyun, you know the whole Torah. Anyway, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us, that he should give us the koach
To overcome.
to be happy so that we can accept his will.
Amen.
And thank him for everything, for what we have and for what we don't have. And also to people that are not as fortunate as us, that are learning this directly, indirectly, this Torah should be for us a chesed and a tzedakah. That other people, Hashem, should make it as if they're listening to us so that we can help them to take the advice that Rabbi Nachman teaches you. This Torah is perhaps the most important thing that a person can learn. Because if a person doesn't know this, he doesn't even start.
No.
Okay, so Shabbat.